Ian.
Vroom vroom. Vroom vroom vroom. We went vroom vroom.
We did what, buddy?
Vroom vroom. We went vroom vroom. We went vroom vrooms.
What are you talking about? We went vroom vrooms?
Vroom vroom.
Yeah, you and me?
It's the only words I have right now. Vroom vroom. We did the thing in the real life yesterday.
We did. We met in meat space, as the kids say. The kids don't say that, but yeah.
They don't. They really don't. Yeah.
Yeah.
We did the karting.
We did. Karting. And it was very clutch because our mental state dictates that we needed it.
Yeah.
Right?
You even memed about it.
I did. I made a meme with the flex tape guy.
Yeah.
Slapping that shit on the water.
It's a good one. It's a good one. For the audio listeners, Dave's meme was there's a guy with the flex tape infomercial, and there's a bunch of water pouring out, and the water pouring out is titled Crippling Anxiety and Depression Due to the Political, Environmental, and Societal Climates. Slaps the tape on it in the form of go-karting.
Right. Yeah. Here's how we fix our problems, or at least ignore them for a little bit.
There we go.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, man, it felt good. It felt so good.
I have to say, I am straight up impressed with you.
You did great too.
I did well, but you did weller. You did more wellerist.
You say that. You were closer to your best time than I was.
See, there you go. You're you're the noodler. You're always getting in there and picking at the compliment, right? So we did 5 heats, right? We had 2 heats. I like the slow drink of tea. Yep. We did 5 heats. We had 2 heats all to ourselves, 2 or 3.
2 or 3 all to ourselves, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is fantastic.
Right. Right out of the gate, first heat, you dropped what did you do? Did you drop your 29?
Like a 30.5, I think. And you had like a 30.7?
I can't remember. I've got all our timesheets here, but yeah. You got up to speed real quick, buddy. And then in heat 2, I think you dropped your 29.
Yeah.
And so you pulled 2 29s in that out of the 5 heats.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I've gotten it down into the 29s, which at Unser is respectable.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not as fast as it once was, because like now 28s is like a regular thing.
Yeah, that's like the new. Yeah, right.
Yeah. I have never done that. My best time ever is 29.6.
Still, that's deep into the 29s, right? That's no 29.9 we're talking about here.
Right. Yeah. So last night I had 2 29.9s.
Right.
I was thrilled with that, especially considering one of them was in traffic.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
But yeah, I don't know. I just felt it. I don't know. I was jiving with the carts I got.
Yeah.
Which was nice. You had some good carts too. You were laying down good times. We were within a few tenths of each other all night.
We were. Yeah. I felt like I got back up to speed pretty quick. Like there was one
I was
cart
behind you. I was behind you most of the night, and you weren't holding me up.
Right.
Like I would put in a lap that was faster than you, but then I would make a mistake and you would get away, or we would catch traffic and you would. We're going to talk about that. You would get through it faster than me and build a gap or whatever. So, I mean, it was fine. It was great.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So we of course had our helmet radios. We could talk to each other. We had a good time. We decided we're not going to like roll video. We're not going to record anything. We're just going to live in the moment. We're going to talk to each other and have some fun, because the goal was blowing off steam, not generating that hot hashtag content. Right. So tell me about what you saw out there on the track, Ian.
Yeah. So here's the thing that happens, and we've talked about this maybe a little bit on the show, but Dave does this thing. He becomes very weird on the kart track. Like there's this thing where I feel like you can sense the attitude of the car and the driver just by like how they position themselves.
Right. Are they always diving in early?
How they're moving and, all that sort of stuff. You can really get a sense of someone's mindset. And it turns out that our friend Dave here is quite weird when he gets behind the wheel, because he's the kind of weird where, like, if you were on a date, if you were out with a date, Dave would just sort of like pull up a chair and start eating off of both your plates, right? And just be like, what are you guys talking about? Is it going well? You going home together later?
Ooh, Baba Ganoush.
You'd make it real weird. That's exactly what he does at a corner. Like, if you're going into a corner with somebody, Dave's gonna come out of fucking nowhere and just be like, "Hey guys, what are we talking about?"
This is my favorite thing, is to just show up, is just to arrive
on the scene. You arrive on the scene.
Yeah. My presence is now a variable that must be considered. Right? For better or worse, right?
Right. I mean, it's like if you had a dinner party, right, and someone brought a guest that you didn't know about. Now you have to deal with it. You have to find a chair. Right. Do we have enough portions?
Right. Weird Dave likes showing up on the karting track, man. Yeah. First heat we did with traffic. I think it was our third heat that we did. I have our sheets lined up in order of time here. Yeah, we had an 8-person heat. And so we were at the front of that one, right? And we corked everybody up at the beginning, right? Mm-hmm. And so it took us a while to catch traffic, because the slowest person was only doing 35. So it's not like there was like, a crazy disparity there, right? Mm-hmm. But I did have the opportunity to shout, "Weird Dave!"
And I mean, you guys, I was behind him. You would not believe how far back he came to complete a move on one of these poor randos. I mean, I think I said on the track that you came from another zip code. Like, you had to buy a ticket to get to that apex at the same time as the other person.
Yeah. I had to.
It was pretty spectacular.
I had to scan my QR code.
Yeah, you had to have a boarding pass to complete that move. Yeah, that's how far back you were.
I think it's really funny, because you are really good in really competitive traffic, right? Like you can figure out, and like you're consistent enough that if they make an error, you can exploit it quickly. Right. But I think the tables are a little bit turned when we're dealing with randos.
Yes.
Right. It seems like for some reason I managed to be able to like get through rando traffic faster than you.
Yeah.
And why is that?
Because you're I assume that people are going to do what I would do.
Ah, okay.
Right. Sort of like, or at least in the general vicinity.
Right.
So I try to game it out. I try to say like, oh, this is the line that they're going to want to do. And so I need to plan ahead.
Right. For them being on that line. Okay.
For them being on that line, where the randos, they're not on that line. They're on whatever the fuck line they want to be on.
Right.
And so you just like, you make it their problem, which is the smarter way to do it. You're like, hey, you're an inexperienced driver. Right. Deal with this now, which is the correct thing to do, because they're gonna fuck it up. Right. You're totally right in the way you deal with it. I am not correct, because like I'll go way wide. I'll try to up and under.
Yes.
And then half the time I end up crashing into them because they're sideways across where I'm end up.
Right.
Because I'm carrying too much speed. Yeah. You just gotta, I think you're correct. You just gotta show up at the apex.
Uh-huh.
Hey, this is fun. We're having fun, aren't we? And then sort it out later.
I just roll up and I'm like, I brought Armageddon on DVD. This is what we're watching tonight. And they're like, we gotta find a fucking DVD player.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
Is this your friend? I don't know him.
Yeah.
Is he our neighbor? I don't know. Yeah.
I don't know. There's just something that like Weird Dave just likes making an appearance. And yeah, I don't know. I get a kick out of it. I really find it.
I love watching it. Like, it's so much fun to watch because you can see people. That's the thing, is you can also gauge people's reactions, because you can see you just be like coming into frame, like, hey. But then you can also see everyone's reaction.
Okay.
Of like, oh, whoa, what's happening now?
Yeah. You got to chop it up, man. You got to get weird. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I will say I really enjoy I enjoy watching you do that to other people. I don't so much enjoy it when you do it to me. Like when I'm battling with somebody.
Right. And then I just make myself the third.
I remember one time I had this like crazy battle going with somebody. We were both like trading like really fast laps, and I was finally in a position to he like finally made a mistake.
I remember this kid. Yeah.
And I was about ready to pounce. And I left the door open on the inside, and sure enough, woof, here comes Dave blowing right through the braking zone. Hey guys.
There was a Dave-shaped hole right there.
There was.
And I just decided to put myself right into it. Yep.
Yeah, you just appeared.
Yeah, I just Kool-Aid man straight in. Yeah, it's like the Kool-Aid man like coming into like a children's ICU. Like, oh yeah, dude, what are you doing?
The room.
Yeah. Yep. No, it's
anyway. A good time was had by all. The last heat was chaotic.
Yes, yeah. So tell them about what we witnessed before we went out on that last heat.
So we saw these two individuals. They appeared to be a couple.
Mm-hmm.
They were just chaos. They were chaos.
Mm-hmm.
They were like slow and crashy.
Right.
So I will just say, I almost spilled my tea.
Ooh.
That last heat, I think my best time was a 30 seconds 0.1.
Okay.
Their best time, they were both in the 42s.
Right.
That sort of margin is crazy.
Right.
To put that into context, my 7-year-old in the kid carts, which are significantly slower than the adult carts.
And he's the rule follower.
His best time is 45 seconds.
Right.
So they were much closer to his time than my time.
Right.
It was dangerous. And also they were somehow slow and crashy.
Right.
Like, I think they crashed every lap.
And we saw something we've never seen before.
They were driving side by side.
They purposely stopped.
Oh yeah. They stopped to talk to each other on the track.
Yeah. I think he was trying to get her to go or something, and the employees came out and they were yelling at them to get moving.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
See, they also, they were like, they could see us coming.
Yeah.
And they saw us coming, and then we're still like side by side. Mm-hmm. That track's not that wide.
No.
So if you're side by side, there's not room for a third cart. Like if you're not like bunched right up to each other. And they were like evenly spaced. It was like we had to like bump, and it was crazy.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Yeah. Like the guy, like I was behind him about to pass, and he just decided to just brake just on the straightaway, just brake. And so like evasive maneuver, very rapid turn, had to get around him. Yeah. He I guess wanted to wait for his girlfriend. I don't know. Yeah. It was very weird. Bizarre. We've never seen that. Like, it's like if you went putt-putt golfing and like on the 18th hole, you just turned around like back the way you came and just fucking full swung the ball like back towards all the people queued up behind you. Yeah.
It was just utter chaos.
Yeah. There's a good weird on the kart track right here. right here. And there's definitely a bad weird. And that was really, really bad weird. So bad that we saw that it was going to be an issue and we developed a safe word.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. When something on the kart track is, because we have the helmet radio so we can communicate. And if there's just chaos that's dangerous chaos.
Like legitimate, like we are truly concerned for one another.
We need to alert each other. The code word is
Ultima.
Ultima.
Right?
There's an Ultima driver on the track.
Yep. Yeah. Well, it was close to using it last night. Yeah.
Honestly, I forgot it. If I had remembered it, there was one point where I definitely needed it because I had to like ping pong across the track to get through the two of them.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
The only other drama that we had really was the young woman who kept shutting the door on us.
Right. Yeah. Not obeying blue flags. And she wasn't slow. Like just, no. Yeah. But we obviously caught her. So we're going to pass you.
But very aggressive. And so to be clear, we weren't racing for position. It was best time.
Yeah.
And I caught her on a sweeper and she saw me coming because she turned around and looked at me.
Okay.
And then I got the nose of my cart was like next to her body.
Okay.
Like I was we were side by side.
Right.
And I had the inside, but it was a sweeper. So she could definitely stay around the outside and keep her lap time.
Right.
She would have been fine. It was just an awkward part of the track that I caught her on, but it was fine that we could be side by side. It was out of the last.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Heading towards the line.
Right.
And so that's where I caught her. And so I'm side by side with her. So she looks at me when we're leaving the hairpin. She sees me there and I'm moving to the inside. So she knows that I'm there. And then she looks again and I'm here. Like I'm there. And she just goes, nope. And like tries to make the apex. Didn't need to.
Right.
It would have been faster for her to just stay where she was.
Right. That's where we normally hang out a little bit anyway. Right.
Yeah. Well, yeah. She just turns right into me.
Right.
And it was like, I have nowhere to go. Like I'm already here.
Right.
Already here.
Right.
And so I was like, well, not going to lift. So this is now, you've just pit maneuvered yourself.
Right. Right.
So let's chalk this up to a learning experience for you. And I'm going to keep going.
Right. Yeah. See you on the other side.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Like I think the ideal karting outing is like, like some heats with like either just you and me, or like every now and then we get into those heats where it's like 5 or 6 just straight up fast people.
Oh,
and
yeah.
We never pass each other. And sometimes we're the slower ones, right? Mm-hmm. Like, and it's just a nice fast heat. Everybody's serious. If somebody catches somebody, like they instantly move over, like which like on some
or there's good dicing.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. Catching people at different times and stuff, like, so like either some solo stuff or some of that. Right. And then like one heat with some randos, like just to feel alive, just to let Weird Dave out of the GIMP box for a minute,
Yeah.
Yeah. Just to unzip the leather mask and be like, "What's up, guys?"
Baba Ganoush.
Yeah. So, but it was very mentally. It was a relief, right?
Yes.
And so it was very nice. I'm looking forward to doing that more often. So I think we should. So
definitely, it was cleansing.
It was right. And so this serves as a reminder to to everyone, and our encouragement that if you can make some space for something like that in your life, whatever it is, like whether it's some karting, whether it's honestly like just sitting in a parking lot before you go into the grocery store and playing a game on your phone for 10 minutes, like make some space for yourself, you know, because times are tough. And
I definitely don't do that every time I go to the grocery store.
You know, we need everybody to take care of themselves. So yeah, right.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. And kind of like in speaking about how times have been rough, I'm at a good point with a thing that's like really, really helped me through a lot of like tough times in the pandemic. You know? I got the Abarth running, right?
It's what you want on a podcast is someone clapping, right?
Yes, it is. Yeah, you know, and it's been a journey. And if you follow us on Twitter, you've seen the emotional roller coaster that it's been.
Yeah.
Because there's been a lot of ups and downs, all self-inflicted, you know, and it's been so good to like have something to like dig into, but also be able to put on a shelf and like kind of nip at when I needed to, or dive in when it was appropriate, you know? And so I was coming off one of those times where it had to be on the shelf for a while, right? You know, Thanksgiving, family stuff to do around the house, right? So last week I took Thursday and Friday off of work, and I'm like, I'm going to, you know, these 4 days, I'm going to get this thing going, right? And I built the head up during the week. I got it back from the machine shop. It looked good. I had my list of everything to do, you know?
Yeah.
All the parts, everything was there, right? And so the only thing that was in front of me was the work. And I don't know, like if you ever get into this weird spot sometimes where like you have everything you need to do a thing, but sometimes it's tough to kind of get off your butt to do the thing.
Yeah. Everything I do is that. Yes. Every single thing I do.
You know? Okay. Yeah. And so I booked that time off of work, and I was like, okay, like this is when it's happening, you know? And here's the head from the machine shop. It's so nice and clean, and I'm so thankful pretty. I sent it to them, right? Yeah. Here's like the box that they sent all the valves back in. You know,
oh, that's awesome. Oil do not drink.
Yeah, that's my little valve spring compressor there. And and so when I was putting all this back together, I found a really interesting thing about how Fiat Chrysler saves money in their parts cost.
Yeah.
So when building the head, it uses the same springs on each side, right? Not that uncommon, right? But for some reason, the engineers at FCA determined that there needs to be slightly different spring rates between the intake and the exhaust side. Okay. So what they did, and I had this when I was reassembling everything, the seats that the springs sit on, one side has thicker seats than the other.
Oh, interesting.
Right? So I had forgotten which side came from what, right? And so thankfully on the Mopar parts site, you could see that here's this thick seats here, right? You could see that the thicker one was on the intake side, and this is the exhaust side with the thinner kind of like saucer looking seats. And there's the exhaust stud. So that's how I could tell.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they use the same springs because it would cost too much money to make different springs, right?
Naturally. So instead they make the 5-cent seats different.
Right. To get that different rate that they need. Right?
Huh.
Right?
That's interesting.
Yeah. And I mean, a trap for anybody who's not being careful when they're reassembling the engine.
Right.
Because I would assume that, it wouldn't make it grenade, but it would be flaky.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, it wouldn't be right.
Yeah, right? Yeah. So I got the head all built, and I did this during the week. It was very therapeutic. Here's the bottom end. So then Thursday, I started digging into the bottom end, making sure that the caps were torqued correctly, the connecting rod caps, that the piston rings were correctly aligned. I looked up in the manual as to exactly where the gaps needed to be. I think I told you I have the service manual for it, and it's 8,000 pages long.
Really?
Yeah. I found a 2013 service manual, which is good because 2012 and 13 are the same. 14, some differences came in, and it is seriously like 8,300 pages long.
Oh shit.
And I mean, like, stuff's like kind of spaced out in pretty large font because I guess they think the olds are going to be working on it or whatever, but you know.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Thankfully, you can use the search function, you know? Right. Yeah. So I had a bunch of like solid reference stuff, right? Yeah, you know, like this is all just stuff that like you almost never see, or you should almost never see, right?
Right.
Oh yeah, and then Thursday, like the big day of like, okay, so the head's going on this day.
This was your drama with the head gaskets.
Yep. Yeah, I had like a weird inkling that something wasn't up with the head gasket. Like I had an L ring, which I've used before, and for some reason, like it's weird. Like if you look at the top of the engine, like there's these coolant passages over here are like on every single cylinder, but the head gasket only has small holes, even though underneath it, there's a big oval or like smiley shape like that.
Oh, weird.
Yeah. And so I was like, is that right? And so thankfully I called the place I usually go for parts, and they found a head gasket for me in Boulder. So all I had to do was drive to Boulder to pick it up and then deal with the incredibly dystopian Fiat or Mopar parts desk. It was like, hey, have you seen that Twitter account? It's like liminal spaces. Mm-hmm. It's like weird, like eerie, empty.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like that. It was a liminal space.
That's really funny.
There was like no merch. It's not like the other one where they've got like Faygo and Monster Energy and shit like that, and like all the Jeep stuff everywhere. It was just like a desk and then like some Jeep hats, like with dust on them.
Like it's a front. Like there's a CIA training site in the back.
There you go.
The Men in Black are back there.
Yeah. And they're like, wait, somebody actually showed up to buy a fucking Fiat head gasket, and like, and they don't know that was like the Will Smith code that like unlock. Mm-hmm. I don't know, right?
Right.
Yeah.
You accidentally joined the Men in Black.
Yeah. Hey guys.
Hello.
Yeah, I've arrived. Is
that Baba Ganoush?
Yeah, right. So thankfully, like the head gasket was exactly the same. You know, I figured it was, but like, Ian, how much do I have in this car already? Like work and mental effort and stuff. Like if that head gasket wasn't right, I mean,
right.
You know, yeah. So I put the Mopar one in, you know, when I put it together, even though they're the same. So now I just have an extra head gasket kicking around. But yeah, I just got real nervous, and like, I think a word of advice is to like always listen to that, like that voice, mm-hmm. you know, and like just take the time to check, you know? Yeah. I got the head on. I used my little digital caliper with the little extension bit to make sure that the bolt holes were the correct depth for the bolts that were going in. Like I measured all that stuff. Yeah. You know, fool me once, right? Mm-hmm. I got the cam carrier on, and it's one of those things where like it doesn't look like much is happening like the entire first day. And then the second day, it just seemed like everything changed super fast, right? Yeah. You know? I changed that little multi-air filter while I was in there, that little multi-air actuator filter, which is good because look at what was in it. Yeah, right? Yeah, so there's a fresh one. Yeah, got the valve cover on. Starting to almost look like an engine again, right? Way more comfortable with the cam timing stuff. It all makes sense to me now. Like I speak Fiat.
So going back through it the second time, because I mean, obviously, mm-hmm. This is your second time doing this, and the first time it didn't go great because you found out later that you had made some mistakes or whatever. What was your state of mind at this point? Because I feel like I would have been just crippled by like just the anxiety of like fucking it up a second time.
Yeah.
What was your mental state as you were putting it back together? Were you just going slow and double checking things, or were you like in a panic?
It was a weird mix because I did end up making a mistake that we'll talk about. And it was because I just kind of like, I didn't check some stuff that I should have. And you can actually see what I mixed up in this picture here. So these two lines, see this line and this line here.
Okay.
I mixed those up and I didn't know it. And it was because I didn't trace them back to where they came from to find out what they were.
And this was the coolant oil.
Yes.
Yeah. You switched a coolant line for an oil line or vice versa.
Yeah. It's weird. Like I put the line that goes to the brake booster on the thermostat. And then the line that goes to the coolant line that should go to the thermostat, I put that on the vacuum pump.
Oh,
so
whoa.
Yeah, right. Like I made a big mistake. Right?
Oh, wow, that's crazy.
And it's no wonder that it made the forbidden chocolate milk when I started it up.
Well, and that explains, because you were talking about like your theories, and some of your theories were like, oh, there's a crack someplace. I was like, well, the volume wouldn't be that much, right?
Right.
You would see like little drops or whatever. Like it wouldn't be that crazy. But the vacuum line, that explains it, because you're like sucking all that. Yeah.
Right. Pulling the coolant straight in. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. To where it shall not go.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. I shouldn't have done this. For some reason, looking back on it, it's like, why did I take the time to put the front completely on before I started it up? I should have left that off, just to check for leaks and stuff. So like I was still making a couple missteps because I still have some learning to do, yeah, like I'm not an expert,
This is the send it move. This is the mic drop.
Yes.
Of finishing up your work.
Right.
I'm going to clean my fingerprints off of it before I even try to start it.
Yes. Yes. And so then the next morning, Kelly and I started it up. I saw that forbidden chocolate milk instantly started pouring out of like the turbocharger area. And it was from that unsecured turbo line. Right.
Which, thank God that was loose.
Right. Right.
Because otherwise you might not have known right away.
Right. Exactly. Right. No, you're exactly right. I would have checked the oil and it would have just been nothing but froth. And I would have been like, oh, this is not good. Right. Yeah. But who knows? I may have idled it until it overheated and warped the head again.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So much could have gone wrong. Right. I got super lucky. That's a great point, Ian. Yeah.
So that's the lesson, is that if you're going to make mistakes, and you will, make them in pairs.
Right.
Because the one mistake might save you from the first mistake.
Right. No, you're exactly right. Yeah. Yeah. Oh. And so like that stuff went all over the floor and it was freaking disgusting. And like, yeah, it was everywhere. But, so then like that Sunday, or I had to put it on the shelf for the rest of Saturday because we had some family stuff going on. And, in the back of my mind, it's just like cooking. And I slept like shit that night, of course, And then that morning I was like, okay, the whole front end's coming off again. I'm draining the oil, draining the coolant, taking the radiator out, like getting back to the front. And like, once I took the downpipe off, I could see like right behind it to that thermostat and those fittings, and was like, that's it. That's
awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. So
that's so good that you found it so quickly.
Yeah. Right.
So did you have to clean up what was the state of the brake booster?
It's fine. Yeah.
Was it filled with fluid?
No, I mean it with brake fluid, but like, because it was like almost pulling a vacuum on, because like that vacuum just creates the pressure. Like it doesn't pull brake fluid into the engine, right? It's just the vacuum for the booster to operate.
Right. Okay, I see what you're saying.
So thankfully there's no bridge for that fluid to come across. Right.
Well, but you had coolant attached to that, right?
Yeah.
Or was it the other way around?
It was the coolant was attached to the vacuum pump.
Okay.
Right. Or no, the coolant was attached to the vacuum pump. The booster was attached to the thermostat. And
I see.
Yeah. Yeah. And so there was nothing for so maybe there was.
Well, you would have noticed you didn't have any brakes.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah. 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 Cause I kept trying to figure out like how that coolant like bridged the vacuum pump, but the vacuum pump circulates oil, right? Mm-hmm. Because it sits at the end of the cam. Right. And so there's oil there. So like it was basically just like injecting coolant into that.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I didn't pull the valve cover or anything because I knew it would just like slop everything down onto the engine and everything. So I went to O'Reilly. I bought 5 huge things of oil and just started like flushing it, idling it for 5 minutes, flushing it, idling it for 10. You know, like I just kept doing that. And so, so I did a seafoam thing to clean, to add it to the crankcase, their motor treatment. And that's the oil that's in it now. So I needed to drive it for a while. It actually passed emissions with oil and that seafoam in it. So yeah. So now I'm ready to drain it again and just like call it good.
Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Until the next thing breaks, but that's fine. We'll worry about that later.
You know what? Yeah. Right. Because like your mind goes to there, right? Because it's like, okay, what's going to happen? Is it going to be like, is it going to throw a belt? Is it going to be like the multi-air block? Like, thinking through that kind of stuff. Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
I don't know if the audio will come through. Do you want me to, it should come through the podcast. I sent you the little revy revs, but I can play it on the show.
Yeah, do it.
Right. I just played it so the audience heard it. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry it didn't come through. Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, we were talking about the vibe of this car, and it's totally like, I said it was like me after like 4 whiskeys. Because I get very amped and hyper.
You have a can-do attitude.
Yes, when I'm drunk. Yes, I'm very like, all right.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And the catchphrase for this car is, hey, it'd be fun. Like that very mischievous, like, it'd be fun.
Right. Right. Uh-huh.
Be hilarious.
Hey,
Let's go climb that thing.
Right. Right. I know someplace we can go.
Yeah.
Right. Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I know another plot. I know another spot. Let's do it.
Right. Yeah. So I've been driving the car around. My boy passed emissions. They were like, what's an Abarth? The emissions thing. Yes. I told him it was a Fiat and we were joking about it. And I was like, you like where the OBD2 thing is? And they were like, yeah, that's great. I was like, they know you're going to need it a lot. Yeah. Yeah. Then you pointed out that the trunk release or the hood release is red,
Bright red. It's the only bit of color in the whole cabin. And you're like, well, they know what you're going to need.
Yep. Yeah. And so, then I treated the little nugget to a wash, man. And,
so good.
Have you ever used the wand, wash, bays so long that it shuts off? Even if you have your credit card swiped?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. 'Cause it stops at like $10 or whatever. They're like, oh, you're still here. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, we went to Moab. I had to wash the car, and that was, that was because one of the children got sick in the car.
Oh.
And so I was washing out car seats.
Yeah.
And floor mats, and it was not good.
Yeah. There just needs to be like a discount that you get at a car wash.
Right.
Like some, like they need like
I see the wheel and rim setting. There's the wax. There's the clear rinse. Where's the projectile vomit setting? Where's that one?
Where's
the one I need?
Where's the daddy's crying setting?
Right. Right. They just need one that's just whiskey coming out and you just like squirt it into your mouth. And you just alternate between that and the soap for the car seat that's soaked in vomit.
Yep. Yeah.
I had almost forgotten about that, Dave. Thanks for reminding me.
Now, I'd like to have a quick digression here because I think
this whole thing has been a digression.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. So would you do me a favor and maybe describe your perspective on my relationship with tools?
Oh, interesting. I would say you have a very interesting relationship with tools because there are people who are very, very specific about where things go.
Okay.
And all of that. Right. And I think you aspire to that.
Yes. Yeah. And in the new place, I'm a lot better about that.
Right. And I think you are in spurts very much like that.
Yes.
But you allow some chaos and then you bring it back.
You're right.
It goes out and then it comes back.
Right. And then maybe what's your perspective on like the quantity of tools that I own or acquire?
Yes. So this is the other thing. So I think that at some point I got to the point in my life where I was like, you know what? I need to do like a real cost benefit analysis on whether I need to buy a $300 tool that I'm going to use once.
Right.
Or if I'm going to spend $500 to take it to a mechanic and have it done.
Right.
And I usually lean towards the $500 in the mechanic. You will always pick the $300 one-time use tool.
You're right. I have a tool acquisition problem.
Yeah.
So much so that when we first moved into the neighborhood, I met a neighbor and I almost punched him straight in the mouth because he had the gall to say to me, Ian,
if you need any tools, that's a very neighborly thing to say.
I was like, motherfucker, I have tools for tools. Like, of course I was nice to his face.
Yes.
Right.
But also, I mean, that's the man neighbor equivalent because we can't express real feelings. So we say shit like that.
Right.
It's the man neighbor equivalent of like, we should catch up sometime.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
He didn't mean that.
Didn't mean.
You showed up at his house right now. Go over to his house right now.
Yeah, be like, I need a 1/2-inch impact driver. Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, get the fuck out of here. Right. I don't know what that is. Yeah. Who are you?
Right? Yeah, you think I need to borrow a tool, motherfucker? Yeah. So, but I have an official Apex adjacent tool recommendation. Right? We don't do this very often, especially like don't listen to me because I'll tell you to buy everything. But I will tell you, our dear boy PETA was very generous and gifted me a little air compressor for Christmas this year.
Oh yes.
And it's their little M12 compact inflator, right? It's this
by whom? By
Milwaukee, of course. Yep. And it is it's the easiest, like simplest little thing.
It's battery operated, right?
Yeah, it takes the M12 batteries, which you can get like a couple of those on Amazon, like the off brands for like $35, right? And you don't need to throw like the good batteries in something like this, right? Save that for the impact driver. But like you got the little hose that threads right onto your tires. You got the little screen here. And you just set the tire pressure you want on the little screen here, and you hit the button and it does it. It just does it and it shuts off.
Yeah.
And it's It's so great. Yeah.
Is it strong enough? Can you run air tools off of it at all?
No. This is just like you'd inflate some tires and stuff like that. Yeah. Or like soccer balls and stuff.
Yeah.
It's got like the needles and like the Pilates ball filler and stuff like that on the back, you know?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it looks like it even has like a Presta to Schrader adapter. So that's good for bike tires, right?
Yeah.
But man, this little thing is a freaking treat, man. Yeah, that's going in the rescue kit that's going to sit in the Abarth.
Nice.
It's got like little rubber feet so it doesn't scoot across the floor while it's going. It's not too crazy loud. Yeah, right? Yeah. I love it. So thank you, PETA. And it is absolutely an official recommendation from us. Yeah. You know?
Like it.
Yeah. But yeah, so there you go. The Abarth is kicking around.
It lives.
Yep.
It's delightful.
Yep. I can't wait for you to be a bad passenger when I start to really get my confidence up in it.
I can't wait either.
Yeah.
It's so funny. I love it.
Right? Yeah. But it's really helped me like through like, you know, whenever the days get shorter and we're dealing with less light, like seasonal effectiveness disorder like hits me pretty hard. I actually have like one of those lamps and
really?
I bounce it off the wall behind my work monitor. So it's on all day. Right. And I do think even if it's a placebo, I don't care because the effect is like, I feel better with it. Right. This is the first season I've used it the whole time. And, it's always a tough time of year for me. And the holidays are never great, you know, and like, if you've lost a parent or something like that, like family stuff's never easy. And like, you know, it's a tough time of year for a lot of people, right?
Yeah.
Even when things are the best, it can still be really stressful, you know? And then we have all the other shit going on. And so like being able to dive into this and to continue doing the show, to do the Abarth, to like noodle with my Hackintoshes, like, and have the kittens, you know, and like, you know, have the house, you know, to dig into with my wife. Like that's been so thankful. I'm so thankful for that. And it's so beneficial for my mental health. So, you know, I appreciate you, Ian. You know, I can't thank my wife enough for supporting, you know, our zany hobbies.
Right.
You know, I really appreciate PETA and of course Jesse for selling me the Abarth. And yeah, I'm really, really thankful for sure.
Well, I cannot wait to go for a little drive. It's going to be the best because it's the best little car. I love it.
Yeah.
I came close to buying one of these.
Did you really?
And replacing I almost like traded in my R32 because I was like, I love this thing so much, but you can't really get 2 car seats in it, really.
Right. If you ratchet strap them to the roof, maybe.
Right. No, I've test drove a couple of these, so I love these things so much. I can't wait. I can't wait. Yeah. And I mean, a Fiat 500 is one of my all-time best motoring experiences. We rented it wasn't an Abarth, it was a Fiat 500. I think it was it was the non-turbo 1.3 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
In Italy, it was the best.
Nice, right? Win in Rome, literally, right?
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Literally, that's what you want.
Yeah.
And it's fantastic.
Nice, man. Nice. Yeah.
Well, this was, I'm going to say, a car show.
Yeah.
But also, like Dave was saying, the holidays can be not fun for people. So you should escape and go karting.
Yeah.
Or break something on your car so you can have an excuse to go fix it. That's another good strategy. Or just find a friend who has a broken car.
Yeah.
And just crawl under it and hide from your relatives under the broken car.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Steal yourself away. Yeah. Take some time for yourself.
Basically, hide from your problems is what I'm saying.
Oh, you know what? I do have a request. If I could put this out there.
Yes.
Because to what you were saying about the Abarth, it has a very specific energy. right? And I found one song that I think matches its energy very well. It's a Chemical Brothers song called No Geography, right? And it's like really upbeat and I don't know, it just seems to like really vibe.
Is it from the years 1996 to 2002?
No, this is a very recent release. I think it came out in 2019 or 2020. Yeah. Right. But if you have suggestions for songs that you want me to put on a playlist that like you feel match the energy of the Abarth, I'd love to hear. I'll put them all on an Apple Music playlist.
I've got one for you.
Okay, give it to me. Yeah.
Also a recent song from last year, Mr. Motivator by Idols.
Okay.
I think that's you in that car. Perfect.
Okay. All right.
Perfect.
Yeah. Okay. That's number 2. Number 3 on the playlist. I have the Chemical Brothers song.
Oh, whoa. I got kicked to number 3 already.
I've got your Mr. Motivator. And then I have the Run the Jewels DJ Shadow.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So listeners, if you have a song that you think like matches the energy of the little peppy car, let me know. I'll throw it on.
Nice.
Right.
I love that idea.
Yeah. Right. So there we go. Yeah. Yeah.
Little does Dave know I'm going to be doing nothing but finding picks for this playlist for the next 72 hours.
Yeah. Let's do it. Yeah. I'm into it. Yeah. Okay.
Well, everybody, I have some cookies to make.
Yeah. You need to get bacon, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is, this is coming out on Christmas.
This is coming out on
Eve-ish, Christmas Eve-ish.
Yeah, 23rd. Yeah, 23rd, 24th. Yep.
Everybody, if you celebrate Christmas, have a very happy Christmas. If you don't celebrate Christmas, enjoy the empty streets.
Yep. Yeah, happy holidays for sure.
We love you, everybody. Goodbye.